What is up? We are wrestling maniacs out there worldwide. It's the best one, Donnie here, back with a special episode of Hot Takes. If you're not, we are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers. The best way to support us is by hitting that subscribe button now, turning on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO. And of course, you already know, the grind is real. And normally I do hot takes on Sundays, but with this news just coming out, especially after recording our live episode of the We Are Wrestling podcast, which, if you didn't check that out, recommend you guys to. We talk about the whole Vince McMahon coming back to WWE, Logan Paul's contract status, all that good stuff on, the latest episode of the podcast, which was live. And I want to just put this out there. This is not an April Fool's joke at all. I wish it was. Honestly, when I saw this article this morning, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. But apparently, Drew McIntyre's contract is set to expire sometime this year, and it looks like both sides, WWE and Drew McIntyre, cannot come up with a new contract agreement, which means Drew McIntyre could potentially be a free agent and move on from WWE, which maybe if this was 2013 or 2014 when they were doing nothing with Drew McIntyre, it wouldn't be a big deal at all. We would all, be saying, dude, McIntyre deserves more. This man was supposed to be the chosen one. He's supposed to be doing this. He's supposed to be doing that. But Drew McIntyre's second run in WWE has been a whole 180. He's had an incredible return ever since, leaving WWE. He went on the independent circuit as Drew Galloway, made some noise in Impact Wrestling, made some noise all over the UK independent scene. So then after the independent circuit, Drew McIntyre ended up signing back with WWE for his second run, coming back with the vengeance. He went on to WWE NXT, Black and Gold, became the NXT World Champion, and ran that, Black and Gold brand until he got called up to the main roster. And at first, didn't really know what they were doing with him. But then, the Royal Rumble 2020 happens, and Drew McIntyre Claymore kicks Brock Lesnar out of the Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania, and he was supposed to have that big moment and become the WWE Champion in front of a live crowd in Tampa. But unfortunately, due to the virus, WrestleMania had to be held at the Performance Center, and Drew McIntyre was the one leading WWE during the Thunderdome era, where there was virtual fans and there was no fans in the arenas. And Drew McIntyre, has been a main event player in WWE since coming back, and he's even, been in the main pictures, which tomorrow, WrestleMania Night 2, Drew McIntyre will actually be going for the Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus and Gunther in a triple threat match. And this is some really crazy news, because the last person that was on my mind when it comes to free agent status is Drew McIntyre. Because, of course, he is, one main event player that WWE has. And they've really invested a lot into him, and he's had a tremendous second run. And this is going to make things interesting, because we all know Drew McIntyre has always been a fantastic talent. He's always, had the potential of being world champion, which, he went on to doing it. And even in the independent circuit, he betted on himself just like Cody Rhodes did. And, made a name for himself as Drew Galloway, which is why WWE, tried to sign him back, and they gave him that second chance to prove himself, which, he definitely did. And I think that Drew McIntyre can definitely stand on his own with or without WWE. He is a fantastic talent, and he already did it once. What makes you friggin' think that he can't do it twice? And honestly, here's my hot take about Drew McIntyre potentially leaving WWE. I think that in all seriousness, I wouldn't mind seeing Drew McIntyre leave WWE and go to AEW. And here's why. I think WWE, they had their last chance to, give McIntyre the World Championship at Clash at the Castle in the United Kingdom. But, Roman Reigns right now is, having one of the greatest WWE Championship runs in the company's history. And they didn't pull the trigger on that moment for Drew in front of, his hometown. And I think that Drew McIntyre has done everything he could during the second run. He won the World Championship, won the Royal Rumble. He's, been main eventing pay-per-views and shows. And I think that it's best that Drew McIntyre, goes to a company like AEW. I think that AEW could definitely use a guy like, Galloway. And especially, with the Blackpool Combat Club, you could definitely do stuff there. Because, McIntyre could fit in there perfectly. I would love to see some banger matches with, McIntyre versus Jon Moxley. I think that would be a great feud. I think, Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk could definitely be something really good if CM Punk does come back to All Elite Wrestling. And even some of the homegrown talent, I think, would work fantastic with McIntyre. I would love to see him go against Sammy Guevara. Would love to see Drew go against MJF. Maybe he could be the one to take the title off of MJF around the time. Who knows? There's a lot of possibilities here with Drew McIntyre being a free agent, because wherever he goes, he's going to be bringing some eyes to that promotion. And he also did have a really good run with Impact Wrestling, and he still praises them to this day, because they gave him, that chance to really, show what he can do being a world champion and being a main event player. And Impact Wrestling definitely shouldn't be, out of question here. But I think realistically, if Drew McIntyre is going to leave WWE, his best option is going to be AEW, because AEW is averaging about 700,000 to about 1.2 million viewers a week on AEW Dynamite. And they have pretty decent pay-per-view sales as well. And AEW, they have a fantastic, great roster, but I think, a guy like Drew could definitely, fit in that mold of, professional wrestling. He already did it, for years, proving himself on the independent grounds. And I think, AEW would be a great place as long as, they're going to keep booking him high. But if I'm WWE, I would definitely be trying to, get this deal done with McIntyre, because he is one of, the main players in, WWE. Honestly, though, right now, he hasn't really done much, but I feel like he could still give a little bit more to the company. But it is hard when you are a champion, especially the world champion. It's hard sometimes after you lose the title to, get yourself back in the world title run. And that's something that's, very hard for a lot of guys after they win their first, WWE champion. Sometimes they, get lost in the shuffle. Like, Jinder Mahal, for example. That's a guy that, won the championship, and then after that, hasn't really done anything ever since. And I feel like with McIntyre, they just don't really have anything big for him. And I feel like for a guy like Drew McIntyre, you need to have something big. And it's unfortunate. Like, I really hope that they, come up with a contract, agreement. Because I think Drew McIntyre, could definitely have a great run as a heel. I would love to see, him work with Cody Rhodes. I think that they can, headline a pay-per-view. I think, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther in a singles match, that would be a great one. And honestly, there's still lots of things that, they could do, especially if you're trying to get these Triple H guys over. Why don't you have them work with a guy like Drew McIntyre who, is very over with the crowd and, can definitely do some really good storylines. And he's somebody that is, great when he's on the microphone. He's great in the ring, and during the Thunderdome era, he was keeping some eyes on the product during a time where it was very hard to. Especially with AEW, planting independent wrestlers and stuff in the crowds. So at least they had a crowd. But WWE, they had virtual boards during Drew McIntyre's time as world champion. And that's why I was a little upset when Drew didn't win the championship in front of a live crowd. I wish that he did have that opportunity because I feel like he deserved it after all the work that he did. But honestly, I want to see Drew McIntyre in AEW over WWE. I think it's time. Both these promotions, AEW and WWE, they shuffle some things up. I would love to see certain guys from AEW go to WWE. I feel like some WWE guys need to go to AEW. And one of the guys I really want to see go to WWE on, the NXT brand is Brian Cage. Because I think that he has the potential in the world to, be a big name, but he's still very green and he lacks, some things that you can't really teach. And I think in WWE, they definitely can, fix Brian Cage a little bit, have him run, things in the black and gold brand of NXT, and, eventually he could be a big player on the main roster. But I really just think it's time Drew McIntyre, goes back to the independent circuit, goes to AEW as Drew Galloway, makes some noise, maybe win the AEW World Championship. I would love to see him, be the All-Atlantic champion. There's a lot of things that, Drew McIntyre, has accomplished in WWE, but now it's time, I think, that he goes to another promotion and, sets his goals very high for them. But let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about the whole Drew McIntyre news. This is not an April Fool's joke. PW Insider, they were the reporters that reported this, and I wish this was, but WWE and Drew, they still have some time to work out a new deal, but right now they are not close to one. But if you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Hot Takes, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow me on my social medias and other YouTube pages, all that down below. In addition, tonight, night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania tomorrow, We Are Wrestling. We're going to be doing a massive live stream tonight. Danny, Ben, and a bunch of our friends, we're going to be all watching it all together in person, so nobody's going to be 5 seconds ahead of the other person. We're all going to be in the same room watching it, and it's going to be a great time. So, if you're looking for somebody to watch WrestleMania with, you can come watch it with us live. We'll be on the live stream at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're not going to want to miss it. And, of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Happy WrestleMania Day. Peace.